you for coming. Before we begin tonight, I would like to make a quick announcement. As you can see, the board is using a new technology system, which includes an audio-video system, as well as a new streaming and display system. And we ask for your patience. I think this is the third time we've used it at a board meeting, and we're still in the process of perfecting our competency at it. So thank you for that. We're going to move on to call to order, and we're going to begin with the reading of our land acknowledgement. Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah.
We ask that you take a moment to stop what you're doing to listen to these words as we recognize the land that we currently inhabit. No matter where each of us is physically located in Lincoln County, we must understand that we are on traditional homelands and unceded territories of indigenous peoples. Where we live in Lincoln County, these are the ancestral homelands of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians.
Lincoln County School District acknowledges the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians that consists of over 30 bands originating from Northern California to Southern Washington. The Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians currently occupy and manage 9,310 acres located here in Lincoln County, but this is a mere fraction of their original 1855 1.1 million acre Siletz Coastal Reservation. We must remember the people of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians are and will forever be the first stewards of this land, water, and fish.
We acknowledge and recognize the continuing sovereignty of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and honor their ancestral homelands. We are committed to bringing awareness to their history and their existence of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians since time immemorial.
Thank you, Liz and Mitch. Appreciate that. Before we go on to roll call and the establishment of a quorum, I'd just like to read our statement about discrimination. Oregon law prohibits discrimination in all public elementary and secondary schools that receive state funding, including discrimination based on perceived race, color, religion, gender, identity, sexual orientation, disability, or national origin. All comments during our public board meetings will follow these policies. I would like to highlight two of these policies, AC, non-discrimination, and ACB, every student belongs, in regards to appropriate public comments. We will now do a roll call of board members. Jason Malloy.
Here.
Liz Martin.
Here.
Mitch Parsons.
Here.
And Centilla McKinley is excused this evening. And I am Peter Vinci, which will establish a quorum for our meeting for tonight. Let's go on to introductions. Dr. Tolan, do we have any introductions tonight?
Has Maggie here? There she is. Why don't you come up here so people can see you? We'd like to introduce Maggie Acosta. One of the things that we have talked about is making sure that interpreting services at our board meetings are not area dependent. We've had them before when we have been in West area, when we've been at Newport, but it was important to make sure that these services are available at every business meeting of the board so that anyone in our community who needs language interpretation in Spanish language is able to come to a board meeting and address the board, or also be able to have live translation or live interpretation happening during the board meeting. So Maggie has, she's a district office assistant and has signed up and was excited to be able to provide this service for us. So thank you so much. We wanted the board to meet her. So,
thank you, Maggie. Really appreciate your service.
Eventually, we're also going to look at how Maggie can, regardless of any of our Hispanic families being here, her going ahead and interpreting or translating the meeting, and we would be one of the first districts to have that recording in another language sitting on our website for folks to view even at a later time.
And let me ask you a question, Eddie. Will there be subtitles for just language?
My understanding is we are using YouTube for our streaming now.
Okay.
And my understanding is you can turn on closed captioning if you're streaming it, and set your language preferences there.
Awesome.
So they should be able to do that.
That's great. Okay, let's move on to communications. Do we have any written communications, Eddie?
Some of the board received invitations to the Oregon Coast Community College Foundation Wisdom of Pearls event. For those of you that didn't receive an invitation, it's probably because you were just appointed and they didn't have one to send you yet. If you're interested in going, let me know and I can RSVP for you, or you can RSVP through what was on the invitations there. Also, just I kind of throw it under communications, the Newport High School CTE programs in honor of Board Appreciation Month has given you a couple of gifts. Those are the cutting boards that you are seeing and the seed packets there that you are seeing in the envelope as well.
Just about that Pearls, if you can manage to go to it, it's a great event, and it supports scholarships for students attending OCCC. So I go to it because my wife is the president of the foundation board, so it's really good. I have to buy her jewelry every year. Get to, sorry. It is a privilege. So Eddie, I have one blue card. Are there any others?
No, just that blue card, and it is a topic on the board's agenda,
Okay.
so this would be the time.
Okay, so is it Annette Brown?
I'm Annika Brown from Newport, Oregon. Sorry, I've only been to 3 school board meetings in my whole life, so I apologize if I do things incorrectly. I just wanted to make a public comment as we're voting on the school bond today. For the record, DOJ has dissolved the United States Department of Education effective on Friday, which creates a 14% budget shortfall. They are also expected to create a voucher school choice system, which would drastically impact the enrollment of Lincoln County schools. My first question to the board is, when you created these line items, do we have current bids for the line items within the last 30 days?
I'll try and answer that quickly if I can. So there's nothing in the bond that we haven't approved it yet, and the voters haven't
Right.
voted on it. So none of that happens until the voters vote for
on
it.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a whole process, and we follow those rules very closely. All the contracting rules are the permitting rules. So
Okay.
that won't happen till later.
So I
crossed.
just wanted to make a public comment that my husband and I have run the federal government for 16 years. We build more than $1 billion every single year of commercial construction. And we have, as private individuals and as parents of Lincoln County School District, gone over your budget proposal. And there are drastic inconsistencies because of the national disasters and because of the hurricanes in the Southeast, the Pacific Palisades fires, and the imposed tariffs that were implemented last week. None of these line items will be able to meet their budgets. So as a small town, I love this town and I love our students. If we approved the school bond as it is written, we would create a huge nightmare and burden for our school district and for our towns because of the increase in construction costs because of those natural disasters. That's my public comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to recognition. Do we have any recognition for tonight? Dr. Tolan?
Yes. East Area Site Council recognition. Chloe.
Oh, I take this.
Yeah, you come up with. Is Jana, Daryl? Jana?
Yeah, right
Perfect,
there.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead and just come up now, and then you'll do it with Mr. or Chair Vinci, Mr. Vinci.
Whoever he is. Okay, let me get around here. Okay. Let's start with the high school. And, okay, these are staff members. So, starting with those. And the first one goes to Chloe Mitch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And is Lindsay here? Lindsay DeVries?
She's setting up for our pre-district wrestling.
Okay. Nathan Bush? Okay.
She has rehearsal for our play.
Okay. And Jen Hamilton, I saw her. Yay. So I'm going to give you these ones. And thanks, Jen. So glad you're on that. Okay. And then we have Toledo Junior Senior High parents. Jamie Nicholson. Thanks for serving, Jamie. And Eric Chambers, there he is. Thank you. Okay. We're gonna get a photo. Yeah. And now we have community member Zach Dahl. There you go. Thank you. And Jalen Nunn. There she is. Thank you. And Chris Henry. He's not here, so I'm going to give that to you.
I see him. Y'all can just. I have another special person too.
Yes, we have a student, and Ali Sample. So cool that you're on the site committee. Thank you. Okay.
Take a picture.
Yeah.
Arms on. No.
Here.
Squeeze it.
Well, you guys have your own special one. Okay. Okay. Here you go. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So. Okay, so we have staff for the Toledo Elementary. Jana Limbert. Yeah. And Daryl Kupich. There you go. Leah Eller. Okay. Melissa Kearney. Okay. And then we have community and parents. Michelle Roy. Okay. And Jeff Sweet. Okay, is that it?
I think so.
Okay, good. Okay.
We still have to
Good.
vote.
Really appreciate the time that everyone on the site councils puts in. It really is super helpful to the direction of each individual school, and we as a board decided, thanks to Scintilla McKinley, really, to make sure we acknowledge and celebrate their efforts. Okay, so moving on to where are we?
Classified appreciation for C2.
For C2, classified, okay, I got to read something. Okay. So we're moving into the, next month is the Classified Appreciation Week, and I have a proclamation to read in celebration of the work that those people do for us. So whereas the education of youth is essential to the future of our community, state, country, and world, and whereas classified employees are the backbone of our public education system, and whereas classified employees work directly with students, educators, parents, volunteers, business partners, and community members, and whereas classified employees support the smooth operation of offices, the safety and maintenance of buildings and property, and the safe transportation, healthy nutrition, and direct instruction of students, And whereas our community depends upon and trusts classified employees to serve students, and whereas classified employees with their diverse talents and true dedication nurture students throughout their school years. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors proclaims and recognizes that March 3rd, 2025 will be Classified Employee Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors strongly encourages all members of our community to join in the observance, recognizing the dedication and hard work of these individuals all year. Adopted this 11th day of February 2025. So, round of applause. Okay. We're up for the LCA report from Trevor Stewart.
Good evening, everybody. Trevor Stewart, Lincoln County Education Association Vice President. My president, Jan's Venture, could not be here tonight. Mitch, I promise she does exist. She is great, but is feeling a little under the weather tonight, so you get me. The biggest thing, one of the biggest things that's happened in our district over the last month is our CTE Expo. And the CTE Expo is awesome. And we get schools from all, students from every single school come to Oregon Coast Community College from every single one of our CTE programs, and puts on a display, and students are able to go around and experience all that career and technical education has to offer. And it is such an amazing experience for our students. It is also a huge workload for our career and technical education teachers. So we just want to thank them for all of the hard work that they do, all of the extra hours that they're putting in, going and preparing and helping students prepare for what is really one of their, if not their biggest event of the year. So that is, on the teacher front, that is the biggest thing we've got going on. In addition to that, Maya Lise, you received from us a couple of weeks ago our intent to negotiate our upcoming successor agreement to our contract. And we are looking forward to another year of working together and negotiating a contract so we can continue to best serve our students here in Lincoln County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Trevor.
Okay, we'll now move on to consultant reports, staff reports, and student reports, and we'll begin with the area report.
Dealer's choice.
I was hoping you brought some of those cookies with you.
All right, hello. So my name's Chloe Minch. Not Mitch, but Minch, so I often get called that. Nice to meet you, by the way. So I'm the principal at Toledo Junior Senior High School. It's my second year. And I have two phenomenal kids here that are doing our student report that I'll introduce on one of the next slides, which I'm going to try this. Brian, I might look at you for support. I'm not usually fancy like this. Was it you? Gosh, dang it, I thought it was me. Okay. Can we be fancy again on the agenda? Perfect. So first we have a student report. I have two phenomenal seniors here. I'm actually very fortunate. I have 4 students from the graduating class of 2025 in this room. I have Chloe and Allie in the back. And we have Aurora and Braxton. You can read their post-high school plans up here. They're 2 phenomenal kids. Oh, Allie, you're on the back of that picture too. And so Aurora plans to attend OSU and wants to study environmental engineering with a minor of a ton of stuff. That's a quote. And hopes to work in the field that's purposeful to her. Thought that was beautiful to mention. And Braxton's post-high school plans are to attend OSU and study biology, but he's interested in other subjects with the hopes of learning as much as he can from OSU and then going to other places as well to learn. So next slide, sorry, cool. So this is their student report. They wanted to do it via video.
Hello everybody and welcome to our video presentation. My name is Aurora Fee.
And I'm Braxton Kavanaugh.
And we're laughing because the last take I said Aurora Free.
We're going to show you a lot of cool stuff.
This is the Toledo Door Play Team. Actually, it was a club founded by Braxton and I. All you have to do is sign up on a QR code, and you're part of the club. All you do, rent a bucket and a grabber, and you're on your way to picking up some trash. I think now's a great time to talk about the Gear Up program.
The Gear Up program has encouraged me to look into colleges and find scholarships.
As seniors, we've worked really closely with Jen Hamilton, our Gear Up coordinator, and she's been a great help. Last year, I felt like I wasn't going anywhere in life, quite frankly. I didn't know if I was going to college or not, and she really helped me decide that I need to follow my dreams and I need to go to Oregon State University. And she appointed us to be her Gear Up ambassadors, and we basically run little errands for her and we help her out where we can. Not only have they helped me choose what path I want to go down, but last year I thought I couldn't go to college because I couldn't afford it. But I've learned that's not true. There's so many scholarships and grants out there that I can apply for. I'm sure many of you know him. His name's Ron Brocklehurst, and he comes and visits us every Friday. He offers these kids plenty of opportunities to sit down and have a real conversation. And he offers his wisdom and his guidance, and he brings tons of snacks for us to share.
I appreciate how we have small classes, and I feel like we can get really bonded with the teacher and the fellow class members.
I appreciate how all of our staff and teachers treat us very fairly, and they love us, and they put so much time and effort into their jobs, even though they don't have to. They really focus on trying to make a connection with every single one of us.
So the best part about what you're doing for your things you appreciate.
I would like to, I say to appreciate the staff. The staff are amazing.
Thanks.
I appreciate the community that the Gear has and the people that support us and help us through whatever problems we're going through.
I appreciate Ron because the best thing about classes is some of the best parts of my week.
I appreciate all the teachers here and their cultural involvement within the school.
I like that they have incentives for us to do better.
All the trash around campus.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Very good.
Thought that was pretty cool. So thank you guys so much.
Excellent.
Thank you guys for listening.
We were asked, and this is good that Chloe was given an agenda, because the first time I was sitting here at a school board meeting, I think I took up 35 minutes. So thank you for saying it's 10 and giving me the things I should touch base on, because I could talk forever about the kids and the staff here. That made me tear up, just the way that staff have impacted your future in your life. And so
really have.
sorry if I'm emotional, that's why we're here. So the things that our building's doing to work on building culture and climate, as you heard mentioned by our students, our Gear Up and Aspire programs are connecting adults that care about kids and helping them see their potential and future. And that's really been inspirational. I mean, our school board chair is one of our Aspire mentors. You know how it just changes lives. So that's awesome. Rotary has partnered with us and allows us to do a Student of the Month, which is tomorrow morning. We have our breakfast. But now we have Employee of the Month as well. One of the most amazing things is I send that nomination form out to all staff and students, and we've had more students nominate staff members than staff members that nominate kids. And I think you can hear that ring test. Is that my timer?
No.
Oh, thank you. I was like, wow, I really lost it this year. But it just showcases to me that our students really want to really appreciate the staff and what they do for them. It's really phenomenal. Site council, we have a robust site council, as you saw, full of a lot of graduates, and they're putting a lot of time in to try to make this be the best place it can be. And I feel pretty awesome that we have a student rep, because it's in our bylaws, and we are meeting our bylaws, and it's just great to have Allie's voice. We're doing teacher lunches, not just staff camaraderie potlucks, but our CTE program sells lunch to our staff members every Friday, and it brings such joy to our staff and our students. You can see it just creates this positive relationship where someone's like, oh, you made that ginger soup. That was the best ginger soup I've ever had, and kids beam with pride. It's great to be a part of. We have 2 staff members here who started a crafting club to try to get positive ways for kids to have things to do on campus, so that's a new thing we've done. Our CTE programs are rocking it. The CTE Expo is probably one of my favorite days in Lincoln County. And you can see our program has set up all across this room, thanks to Rachel Wallace's design, just the things that they can showcase. So I'm very proud of our CTE programs. introduction games during our staff PD Wednesdays. I'm a very competitive person. Many of you know that. And so I like to bring that back, and it's just embedding happiness and silliness back in. You have to make time for things that bring you joy, and that brings me joy to see people kicking booty. And then we have a Tier 1 Happiness Club. We noticed that in November we were getting the November blues or November rain, and so staff members got together and said, what can we do to ensure that we're not just responding to negative behavior, but supporting positive behavior? So we're doing things like monthly assemblies, monthly events after school, contests for our students, and the spirit days. Again, we have positive recognition through Rotary Student of the Month. An initiative I'm really proud of that we do this year is every single kid in our school will get 4 positive postcards sent to them written by staff members. We do it at the start of every single staff meeting, and so far every kid's gotten 2. So I'm just really proud of that our staff take the time to honor and say positive things to our students, and we've heard that come out in our freshman success cafes, that it makes them know that staff care about them. We're giving Italian sodas for no tardies. We had 206 kids without a tardy last week. That's pretty huge because it was completely the opposite at the start of the year. So I love change in data when it's the direction you want it to go. We do weekly and monthly attendance raffles. We do raffles for our seniors that have no D's or F's every Friday. We're taking our kids to Muglies that met their attendance percentage. It is proving to be way more difficult to analyze that data, even though I'm a math person, so TBD on that date. And we did a perfect attendance woot woot cart for our 6 kids that had perfect attendance for semester. I promise I'll go faster on the next slide. Ding. Okay, and our Care and Pride and Facility, this is a huge thing for us this year. As you can see, we have a lot of construction going on, but it is all amazing and great for kids. So our culinary space is going to be getting some love and attention to make it ADA accessible and to give more space to a program that's just bursting at the seams. We have our mat room up top. We had our ribbon cutting for that last week, which was great. Facilities and maintenance made our track shed be something that is workable and usable for our track team, which was beautiful. It's amazing. Our bathrooms are coming. It's like, can't even wait for that to happen. It's just going to be like, I don't even know. I will probably come to work every day with the smile I already do, but smile even bigger, I don't know. It'll be awesome. So thank you so much, Facilities and Maintenance, for that. We're getting a garden. We have an improved conference room. We're having office spaces for the wonderful people who serve our students. We have our Boomer Clean team where kids get, we have
little grabber thingies.
Yeah,
I guess.
and kids are taking pride in the place that they live in. And like you said, we'll get more and more as time goes, but we're impacting. We're
right.
One generation plants the seed, the next gets the shade.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yep. We moved our College and Career Center with Gear Up and Aspire to the high school hallway, since that's the students that should be getting serviced, and I think that it has had a huge impact on the students who utilize that space. Our leadership class does our recycling across our building to support our custodians. We're adding a bathroom, thank you again, Rich, to our health room, which is huge, that for student privacy when they're needing a space, so that is a huge, huge thing for us. I have gotten 2 emails from ADs this sports season alone that our students clean up their messes after games when we're guests and visitors. So 2 different ADs have taken the time to find my email and tell me that. So I think we care and have pride in our facility and the ones that we visit. And then our staff have been made aware of the class program where we have classroom responsibility for our spaces, and that's something they're excited to implement. I talk really fast. I taught Jason's kids. They know that as well. So if you need me to repeat anything, let me know. But I'm just proud of the work we're doing. And like the parking spaces, like the courtyard, it might not be there yet, but we're starting and making momentum, and that's all that matters. It's going to make a difference.
For sure.
Well, thank you, Chloe and Aurora and Braxton. Really appreciate your report, and definitely coming into this building over the years, I notice a very positive vibe when I'm here, and I really like seeing that. So you're doing a good job. It's making an impact.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kids deserve it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay, moving on to reports. Fingers crossed here.
Kim is currently at the statewide superintendent and business managers meeting, so she needed to stay longer to be at a special legislative update session. She's going to zoom in for us.
Thank you for allowing me to zoom in. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Great. Okay. Well, I've updated financial reports as of January 3.
speaker had asked a question about the other local income that is listed under local resources. It's also listed on the monthly comparison, but I can tell you that the bulk of that is ESD funding, where we pay for positions from our that will be paid reimbursed by the ESD from our Tier 2 funds. So that's around 57,000 of that this month. And then 26,000 is our charter school transportation reimbursements. So we pay their bus invoices and they reimburse us through their state school fund. We essentially hold back some of their state school funds from them. So it's an offset. And then another 3,200 roughly is reimbursement from the LCA for their president's release time.
Okay.
Other things that go into that that line item are recovery of prior year expenses and refunds, and transcript fees, as well as things like our safe dividend refunds that we or returns that we get annually. So you'll see that fluctuate, but the charter school transportation and the ESD funding are the two major sources of revenue in that line item.
Thank you for answering that, Kim. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I did want to note that on the updated ADM, we are down about 26 students from what we had budgeted, which is a larger jump than we have seen in the past. But keep in mind that our funding, I'm not concerned about that as far as funding goes at this point, because our funding is dependent on various factors, including statewide ADM, local ADM, local revenue. So there's lots of factors beyond just strict ADM that feed into our funding stream. So it's one item that we keep an eye on because it can be an indicator that we need to be looking at things. But again, it's just one piece of that state school fund formula. We did note that it's possible that that large drop in enrollment between December and January could possibly be due to some students not feeling as comfortable being in school given things that are happening at federal level. So that is something we'll be keeping an eye on, and I know that the district teams are working to reassure families on that level. Do you have any questions on this page? Again, I wanted to note that the excess ending fund balance is primarily excess from prior year, primarily due to unfilled positions and an instance where we moved some general fund expenditures into a grant fund where we were going to lose the money there. And so we saved those expenditures, save that money into the general fund. The general fund comparison shows our projected to actual. It's based on an average received or expended over the past 8 years. We used to do 5 years, but because of COVID, we went to an 8-year average to smooth things out a bit. So these are just projections based on what our prior experience has been, and it can fluctuate across the months. So a lot of it sometimes is just timing differences. We did, because of the freeze on federal funds that we had been made aware of that actually did not happen. But because there was concern about that, we did make sure that we were 100% claimed on our federal funds the day that that news came out. So there is an increase in the fees charged to grants based on that because it is based on our actual expenditures for the month. Any other questions on that page?
Nope.
Purchase services, the cleaning services I mentioned last month, the December invoice didn't come until January, so we paid both December and January in January, so that's why there's a blank in December and a double payment in January. And with transportation, again, the prior month we had paid some prior month's invoices, so that's why there's quite a large difference between January and December. The rest of it's pretty standard. On our special revenue funds, you can see that the special revenues and grants fund balance is in the positive, which normally this time of year it's in the negative, but that is because we did claim out all of those federal funds, and we have been able to keep on top of that a little more as well. I don't know that if I mentioned, but we did hire another grant accountant. She started this month, so that will really help us keep on top of those reporting requirements and get those claims in timely. Again, the ones that are negative are because the reimbursement happens after the fact, after we've spent funds. I wanted to point out on the vehicle replacement fund, there is a negative fund balance there, but that's because we have an encumbrance in there of $55,000 that is for our courier van that needs to be replaced, but that we needed to order it now in order to get it for next year, for next fiscal year, for July. So you'll see that encumbrance on there this year, but at the end of the year, we will move that to a new year expense. It won't actually be expended this year. On our bills and claims, it's just this month, it's pretty light, just the regular monthly expenditures for our contract services and some professional learning. And the interest rates have dropped slightly, but not a large amount, so that's good news. Do you have any questions about any of that?
Anything, anybody? Anything, anybody? Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Kim. I appreciate you taking the time away from your conference. I know how important that is for the district, and really appreciate your being there and getting all the information you can get for us. Moving on. Great. Moving on to the first student report. Darlene, what can you share with us today?
So you turn it off. Good evening. My name is Darlene Van Riper, and I am the location manager for First Student in Lincoln County. I wanted to highlight actually the most important thing that we do nowadays is road checks. That's my first paragraph here on the report. And road checks are important, not always, the result is not always liked or accepted or by the community, but we do it for one reason only, and it's for the safety of our students. I mean, we have a big group of staff going out there on the mornings when we suspect adverse road conditions. You can see on the map, I mean, we cover a lot of actually almost all of the county. And then we text Rich, hey, yes or no, or late. And then they'll decide then if they're going to go with our recommendation. And we get up at 3 o'clock in the morning just to get all of that done and get the report out by 4:30. So it's all for the kids and for the drivers too, so that everybody's safe.
Listen, we really appreciate that. I know we had 2 days, and it's a little disruptive, but much better to be safe, and we don't want any accidents and anybody hurt or anything. So, and it's Miley said there's no need to make up those days at this point. So,
good.
So
well, even better.
That's good.
Let's hope
Yeah.
it stays that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. I don't know how fun it was for students to be out because there wasn't much accumulation.
Right, yeah.
But
We did have some kids slide down the hills in
Yeah.
the East County, so they had fun.
yeah.
So, any other questions on the report?
Just want to share our congratulations to Brenda Porter for her promotion. That's really great that you've got really super people
Yes.
within your organization that you can move up, and that's what we like to see.
Yep, she's a bit gun shy at the moment, but hey, she'll work herself well into the position, and Sheila and I, we will support her all the way.
Yeah.
And it's Love the Bus Month, so yay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darlene.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
darling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great report.
Okay, moving on to nutrition services. Got Jamie and Patty for comments on your report.
How was dinner?
Oh my gosh.
It was so good. Hannah
Yeah.
seconds.
What did you have tonight? Jambalaya.
Jambalaya.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it was so good.
It was a little spicy, but just right. It was really yummy.
And
Yeah.
chocolate-covered strawberries.
Oh, those were.
Excellent.
That's a treat.
Cornbread muffins, and then I didn't get seconds because it was gone. So there. I'm just kidding. Very good. Thank you.
Good salad too. Yeah.
Just a quick reminder that coming March 1st is our Future Chef competition. We actually have 20 students this year that will be in the competition. We didn't get a lot of applicants this year, but we got enough to make it a fun event, and so we already have our judges, and we're looking forward to it. It's one full day. It's from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We usually get wrapped up maybe a little bit earlier than that. But there's some great recipes this year, and I'm always amazed on how well the kids do. And it's just a fun event for the day. So.
The jambalaya that you tasted tonight will be featured on the menu February 14th as our Farm Fresh Friday highlight. And then we have another one on February 28th, which is the vegetable beef stew. And so that's made with our beef that we're getting out of Celette. So that's pretty exciting. So, and then if you read the newsletter, you saw we have 141 pounds of produce and herbs and lettuce that we have grown in our district and served in our meals. So that's really, really exciting for us. It's doing exactly what we were hoping it would do. So that's fantastic. And our hydroponic towers are fantastic right now because obviously we can't be outside right now because it's cold and rainy. And so the kids can keep moving forward with all those things. We have served 372,000 meals so far this school year. So that's a big number. That's actually a really big number for us this year. So I'm excited to see what it'll look like at the end of the year. And then just a quick note, we have the USDA food study coming. And so they're going to be on site March 24th, 25th. Nope, that's not right. Yes, 24th, 25th, 26th. Nope, that's not right. I wrote the wrong dates down. I'm sorry. February 24th, 25th, 26th. Yeah. Newport Middle School, Ocean Lake, and Taft High School. And so the last study was done 10 years ago, so
wow.
I have never done one of these before. I'm not really sure exactly what it entails. We've had a lot of interview things, and it's a pretty packed 3 days for Patty and I. Will be supporting principals because principals are involved and get interviewed. So more to come on that. And the procurement review that we had has been closed and done, and that went fantastic for us, so that's always good. So, yeah, things are good.
And we have
I remember when that happened, 10 years ago or so?
Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
It was,
So
yeah.
Good luck, you'll be fine, but I know it's stressful.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a
Especially-
garlic date. We have a garlic festival date.
Oh, yes, we do. October 11th, we have a garlic festival date, and so we'll get started on, thanks, Mylise, I forgot about it.
Well, I look at my garlic every day and it's alive and
Yeah.
it's growing.
Yeah, and it's growing, it's everywhere. Yeah, there'll be garlic everywhere, but we'll have a garlic festival on October 11th, and we'll get started getting the flyers and what we would like to see happen at the festival for all of our schools and all of our staff. It'll be fun. So.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for your report. They're always so informative and fun. Amazing. Okay, is Greg here?
He's not. He
Okay.
has some family business he had to take care of, so I get to sit in for him.
Okay.
So don't ask too many hard questions. So he gave you a written report,
Yes.
and then there was a question about the bathroom vandalism in high schools.
Yeah.
And so we looked into that, and most of what we're seeing is the new bathrooms obviously have almost taken care of that. It's not doing it, but where the old bathrooms, tearing tampon dispensers off the wall, that's the number, seems to be the number one that they like to do. And students, and it's hard to catch them because you don't know. We got cameras outside, but
Yeah.
when did it happen?
Yeah.
Then you can question a lot, but and a lot of dispensers for soap and deals. So what happens when they do that? Normally they'll talk to the principal. Principal will say, let's lock the bathrooms down. So then the bathrooms will be locked for a little while, which upsets everybody. Most of the time that stuff is fixed by custodial. Sometimes it's facilities, and then sometimes sometimes maybe we don't get there quick enough. It's a, Chloe can interrupt if I'm, or do it, but sometimes it's what they say on the work order. So like one we had here at Toledo High said, came in on the 31st, and it says, let's see if I can get my glasses so I can read. Ceiling tiles in this bathroom are falling. So that's, how big is that? So sometimes we get somebody over there, and sometimes we don't. Like on this one, like here, this is just a good example. That was came in Friday at 4 o'clock. Monday's the work day. Tuesday we were off. Wednesday we were off.
Yeah.
Thursday we were back, and then Lindsay called on Friday morning and said, we can't use our bathroom because tiles are falling. So Bill was here working right here in the bathroom, so I sit him down there, and he goes, yeah, custodian needs to put them back. So it was just a lack of communication, I think. And otherwise, I think most of the stuff is pretty standard that they're doing. Any questions on his list?
I just want to follow up on the experience that Waldport and Newport have had with the new bathrooms. There, no vandalism is
virtually no bathroom deals. We've had one person caught vaping in Waldport and 3 in Newport, and one of them in Newport set the fire alarm off, and it was during a game, so they had to clear the gym because the fire department came. So we were talking about vape detectors, but in these small bathrooms, so far they've been setting them off. So had 3 people caught there, and we got cameras, on you can't have them inside the bathroom like the ones we got, but with these new ones, we got a camera at both sides, and it's on the deal. You can see who went into what bathroom, and each one of them's got its own detector. So when it goes off, we know what time it went off, and we know what time on the camera somebody went into the room. So it's really hard to deny that something wasn't going on.
Yeah, yeah. It's good that message gets out to kids, and so that's.
I think that'll help. The problem is that we've got lots of bathrooms and a long ways to go, but we are slowly upgrading as we can.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Rich. Any other questions on the custodial? Okay.
It gave us a good experience I need to train staff to inputting incident tickets to be more clear and descriptive as to how emergent the issue is, right? So that's on us as well as the staff to be trained on that.
Yeah.
Just
good communication.
It's always communication. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
I want to make an observation that these last 3 reports are actually pretty fairly new to our agenda within like the last 2 to 3 years. But I find them very helpful. It makes me feel much more connected to the schools and to the services that we contract out to. And I just want to take tell everybody thank you for taking the time to put together these comprehensive reports. It's really, really been a good thing.
Yeah,
Like, it
I
didn't
agree.
happen, it didn't
Yeah.
happen before.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, let's move on to board reports. Mitch, how's it going up there in the north end?
Just fine as far as I know.
Okay. Jason?
Nothing exciting to add. Newport schools are all still there. Happy to report. I do get to see at the high school level, still volunteering at the games and things like that. And I think one of the most, it's more impressive this year than years past, and I've been around the schools for a long time, is like the school spirit is really impressive, and the amount of people that are going to the games. And, I think that's kind of like, Chloe said, an example here to have kids happy and enjoying being there. And I don't think that's isolated to just Toledo. I mean, I get to see it at the Newport schools too. So it's a warm and fuzzy feeling.
Yeah, I like I mentioned, I noticed a real positive vibe here at this school. So it's really awesome to see. Liz, anything?
Do you want to talk about Peters?
No, you could take it, and I'll cross it off my
Okay,
list.
all right.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause you went.
I attended the girls and boys basketball game here at Toledo, which was really fun last Friday. And it was nice. It was their first annual recognition of coaches to the Hall of Fame. And some of the coaches that are no longer with us, but their families were there, and as well as people that are still here. And it was a very nice presentation. And our own Peter Vinci was recognized. It was pretty cool to be one of the first ones inducted into the Hall of Fame.
An incredible
He's
honor.
been a swim coach here as well as a teacher for years and years. And it was met with a big round of applause, and real proud to all that he recognizes or brings to the school board and to our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. Yeah. That was an incredible night for teachers. When you come back to a school or there's some sort of interaction with former students, it is so amazing. I mentioned to Maya Elise, I didn't take any selfies or any pictures because I was just talking to people just constantly, and it was just a real up for me. I really appreciate that. For me, I have the privilege of continuing to do Aspire with Braxton and Aurora are two of the students that I work with who are phenomenal. And I want to mention that last Friday I did go to the CTE Expo. It was an incredible event, even with a very short week for preparation. I know how, Trevor, you mentioned how challenging it is just to prepare for that, and then to have 40% of your week not available to you to do it. That was just really great. There were a lot of community agencies there for kids to interact with and have some real contact with their lives beyond high school, and I really appreciate that. Also, Aaron Baloney invited Siletz, and they had a presence there too, which was really awesome. And that was just a great event. I hope we continue doing it. Kids really benefit from that experience. So, all right, superintendent's report.
Okay, I've crossed most of it off because you guys have done a great job, but a few things here. One, Newport High, congratulations on a national championship for cheer, which is fantastic, and they were named OSAA 4A Team of the Month, so we're very excited for them. We will formally recognize them when we are at, I believe, Yaquina View in April. I might have made that whole thing up, but next time we're in Newport, we will invite them when we're in Newport so that we can recognize them when they're there. I do want to say thank you to everyone who was involved in the completion of the mat room for Toledo Junior Senior High. You won't be able to probably look at it tonight, although Tyler's here, he'll probably take you up there later. But it's fantastic. And the day I went up there while they were working on it, there were 3 generations of one family in there working on it. And I think that speaks to the culture of Toledo. And it's just, it's fantastic to have that kind of pride and ownership into things in your area. So thank you to all the donors that made that happen, Rich's crew, and then the athletes and the family members who put all of that together. Thank you very much. Tonight we will look at the bond resolution. I think that this culminates a year of information gathering that we have been doing as a district. So it was a year ago in February that we had a list of things that the board needed to have information on in order to make an informed decision tonight if they're going to go out for a bond. All of those are available on the website. You're able to see that on the Lincoln County website. They included a long-term facility study in addition to the 1- and 5-year plans that we do annually. We had a population demographic study to look at, a district the size of Rhode Island. We make a lot of decisions in a very large space, and so we did a study of what that looks like as well. We had multiple surveys that included staff, students, and community. We also did a polling later on in that so that we could have third party get information from how the community was feeling. We analyzed the board policy on the CMGC process. One of the strengths of the last bond was being able to keep money local and use as many local contractors as possible. We wanted to make sure that if the board goes out for a bond, we're set up to be able to do that again. We had matrix after matrix after matrix of information so that we could analyze it and make sure that we had the most informed decision as possible. And then we looked at our staff to determine capacity if the bond were to be successful. Do we have the capacity to run that bond? So I want to thank the board and many, many people that are in this room that helped with that information gathering. It helps us make informed decisions regardless, because we need to constantly be looking at the state of our facilities. Chloe did a nice job tonight mentioning all of the things that have to happen. One of the real pride moments for me as a superintendent while this was going on was the long-term facility study really struggled with studying Lincoln County because Rich Baloney and his team do a fantastic job of taking care of meeting the needs when we have them and being very responsive and are good stewards of the funds that we have. So that was nice to see, while also knowing that there are things over here that are going to be very difficult for us to get done. So Rich, just thank you so much for all that you continue to do for our district and that, and for your crew. Moving away from that part, I do want to kind of highlight an article that Susan Skydema wrote that I didn't see get a whole lot of traction. Well, there's a lot of things in the press about public education and about schools, but Lincoln County had an 83.3 graduation rate that was almost 10 percentage points higher than the state of Oregon. And I'm very, very proud of our teachers, K-12, and of our students to have a graduation rate that's 10% higher. So congratulations to all of you for that. I don't know when we will be featured, but we were contacted by the Department of Ed. One of the Department of Ed's highlights that they saw out of that data was that we included a 10% increase for students experiencing houselessness. And so I think that speaks to the Lincoln County community as a whole and how much this community does to support students and families across our county. So thank you very, very much for all of that. The article that Susan has published talks about highlights in each individual one of our high schools, but I'll just touch on some of our district-wide highlights as well. Our English learners have an 86.2% graduation rate. The state average is 68%. So great job to all of you that are working with our students regularly. Our Hispanic and Latino students graduated at an 87.6 rate. Our state rate is 82.9%, so we again exceeded. There's been an incredible amount of work done in Lincoln County School District in special education, and I'm very proud of the work that they do as staff, that our students are doing, that our families are doing to support students with disabilities. And we had a 79.7% graduation rate, which again exceeded the state graduation rate for students with disabilities. And our CTE programs, which I hope that before you leave, you take a look at the fine work that Toledo has available. And we'll have, we have pictures online from how the CTE Expo went. Our CTE programs consistently show a graduation rate of above 85%. And it's important we continue to expand those programs and that we work hard in those programs and that we have really strong electives that are CTE aligned, because CTE completers graduate at the highest rate of anybody in the country. And so we want to provide as many CTE opportunities for our students that are very aligned. It's incredible work for our teachers that work in those hands-on programs. They're looking at job skills, they're looking at safety, they're looking at helping them be job ready as soon as they leave, they're helping them find internships. It's way more than walking into a shop. They're walking out with life skills and career skills, and I'm very proud of them, and we continue to see that rate increase. So thank you so much to Lincoln County School District for your work on our graduation rate, and I don't think it was celebrated as much as it should be because that was a great K-12 effort to see that happen, so great work. Just was at a workshop and it said end with students, and I am ending with students, but I should have ended with the grad rate. I do want to speak to something that we've been getting a lot of questions and inquiries about from our staff and from some community members. And it started in December when there was a letter that came out in December that was also on the news that spoke to certain populations that raised a lot of concern. And so at that point, we did address that letter with our families directly. So we sent a message out to our families that talked about how in Lincoln County School District we follow the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act to keep our children safe when they come into our schools. So I want to just speak a little bit to that, and I'll end up reading this. So since December, we've been receiving inquiries about our process for protecting students' educational rights and privacy. More importantly, we are asked what we are doing to keep students protected at school, and that includes their psychological safety. The Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, prohibits the release of student education records without prior parental consent, except in very, very limited circumstances. This requires anyone, including law enforcement or immigration enforcement, unless it is an immediate health or safety situation, to have a judicial warrant for any of that information. Not just anyone can walk into our schools and get information about our children or our families. We have provided this information and training to all office staff and administrators and have been sharing it with staff on an ongoing basis. If any of this information is requested, schools are to immediately contact the Assistant Superintendent's office or my office immediately so that we can support in that process. Along the lines of these concerns, there have also been questions raised around executive orders. AASA, which is my School Superintendents Association, has issued the following guidance. Executive orders do not create new laws, change existing ones, or provide legally binding rules for schools. Instead, they direct federal agencies on how the president wants them to enforce current laws. Without action from Congress or the courts, many of the executive orders cannot directly change legal requirements of school districts. Schools do not need to immediately alter their policies or practices based on executive orders alone. This is important for our school board to consider, as policy adoption is one of the 3 responsibilities you have. However, these orders must be monitored closely to see how they could or might impact state and federal law. So it's something that we continue to monitor on if there's a state or federal change when an executive order is issued. I'm thankful for everyone who's asking those questions. I think it's important that we stay informed and that we understand that Lincoln County School District will continue to follow the Privacy and Educational Rights Act that we are required by law to follow. We'll continue to do so. The last thing that I just want to close with, and I saw that she walked out. I do appreciate my 4:30 a.m. crew. I'm already up. Rich, I know, is not. Darlene and her team are out on the roads at 3:30 in the morning. Susan Skydema gets a text. Patty's happened to get a hold of food service. Eddie, sometimes I forget you, I'm sorry. Natalia is working on making sure that our messages are all able to be translated and sent out via Remind so that we can get the messages out as soon as possible, knowing that we will tend to wait until the morning. Now, if there's a blizzard, we're going to call it the night before, but our students need food, our school is a safe place, and our weather changes very, very quickly. So if we can wait until the morning to make that call, we will err on the side of waiting. And I know that that can be difficult for families when we do that, but ultimately, if it's safe, we want to get as many at school as possible. With that, what I want to say, I'm very, very proud of Lincoln County because it's never easy when school gets closed. It puts people out, and I get that, and it can be very hard when it is beautiful outside your front door and you're having to figure out who's going to watch your kids, and somebody else's kids can't get down the hill because it isn't safe. We're the size of Rhode Island, and we have to make decisions honestly for the size of the state. And I greatly, greatly appreciate the countywide support when we have to make those decisions. So hats off to Darlene. We will support her. Her people, her crew are out on those roads with our kids. They're the first face they see. So thank you so much, and that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the adoption of the consent calendar. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as published in this month's board agenda. A motion. And a second?
I second.
Okay, thanks, Jason. So it has been moved by Liz Martin and seconded by Jason Malloy to approve the consent calendar as published in this month's board agenda. Any further discussion about it? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? No one? So the consent calendar is approved. Thank you so much for that. So let's move on to our first action item, and it's the only action item on tonight's agenda. That was part of the consent calendar, yeah. LBL, yeah. We had that last month, and so nothing changed, so it just gets rolled into. Yeah, it's a really good report, yeah. So on to our one item here, a resolution for a bond. This is a super important decision for us, and as Miley's outlined, we have spent a lot of time the past year understanding the district's need and for adding additional facilities and upgrading the facilities that we have so that they can remain available to our students and our communities for the next 40, 50, 60 years. So my plan is just to read the resolution. It's a little long, and there's an exhibit that goes along with it, and I'll read that as well. So bear with us. It's important that we all hear this and understand what's part of the bond and how it's set up. And then after I read it, we'll take a vote. So this is resolution number 2024-25-2, a resolution of the Lincoln County School District calling a measure election for general obligation bonds and related matters. Whereas the Board of Directors of Lincoln County School District, located in Lincoln County, Oregon, has determined that a need exists for the district to finance capital costs as described in the ballot title attached hereto as Exhibit A. And whereas, in connection with the project, the district has evaluated the need for safety improvements, including the joint funding of safety improvements with other public and private entities, and the funding of safety improvements in accordance with ORS 332.176. And whereas the district applied for the Oregon School Capital Improvement Match and will receive $6 million grant if voters approve the general obligation bonds for the project. And whereas the district anticipates incurring expenditures to finance the cost of the project and wishes to declare its official intent to reimburse itself for any expenditures it may make on the project from the proceeds of general obligation bonds, which may be issued as tax-exempt obligations in multiple series. And whereas ORS 328.205, subject to voter approval, authorizes the district to issue general obligation bonds to finance the project. Now, therefore, the Board of Directors of the Lincoln County School District, located in Lincoln County, Oregon, resolves as follows. 1. The measure election is hereby called for the purpose of submitting to the electors of the district the question of authorizing general obligation bonds, and bond proceeds will be used to finance the project. 2. The measure election hereby called shall be held in the district on the 20th day of May, 2025. 3. The district authorizes the superintendent, business services director, and assistant to the superintendent, or designee of any of those officials, to finalize the ballot title in substantially the form attached hereto as Exhibit A, but with such changes as the authorized representative shall approve, to submit the ballot title and explanatory statement, if any, and to execute any documents and take any other action necessary or desirable to facilitate the measure election and to obtain funds through the match program. 4, the authorized representative shall cause Form SEL 805 to be delivered to the election officer of the Lincoln County, Oregon, no later than February 28th, 2025, 81 days prior to the election date. The authorized representative shall also cause Form SEL 803 to be delivered to the election officer not later than March 20th, 2025. That's 61 days before the election date. 5, the district hereby declares its official intent pursuant to Treasury Regulation Section 1.150-2 to reimburse itself with the proceeds of the bonds which may be issued in one or more series for any of the expenditures incurred by it prior to the issuance of the bonds. 6, the law firm of Hawkins, Delafield, and Wood, LLP, is hereby appointed to serve as bond counsel with respect to the issuance of the bonds. Piper Sandler and Company is hereby appointed to serve as underwriter or placement agent with respect to the issuance of the bonds. This will be adopted by the Board of Directors of Lincoln County School District located in Lincoln County, Oregon this 11th day of February 2025. Let me go ahead and read Exhibit A. This is the ballot title. Lincoln County School District, Lincoln County, Oregon. The caption will read, Bonds to increase safety, security, repair, update schools, vocational education. Here's the question. Then this is what is in the voters pamphlet. This is what voters will be voting on. Shall district maintain its existing bond rate, issue bonds to increase safety, repair aging schools, and expand vocational training classrooms? If the bonds are approved, they will be payable from taxes on property or property ownership that are not subject to the limits of Sections 11 and 11B, Article 11 of the Oregon Constitution. Summary. The measure is expected to maintain the existing district bond levy rate. No increase expected with the passage. If passed, state to provide $6 million in matching funds. Lincoln County School District seeks approval for principal amount of $73.3 million in bonds to finance capital costs, including safe, secure, and healthy schools, new upgraded security cameras, access controls, door hardware, alarms, lockdown systems, replace fire alarms, asbestos abatement, interior, exterior lighting, updating aging buildings, preserving facilities, repair roofs, siding, plumbing, flooring, windows, electrical, HVAC, expanding vocational learning spaces, revitalize, expand classrooms and career technical education labs, construct performing arts facilities at Waldport, Newport, and Toledo High School. Additional projects include fields, turf, playgrounds, athletic facilities, furnishing equipment, and resurfacing parking lots. Requires community oversight committee and regular audits. Bonds may be issued in multiple series, each maturing within 16 years from issuance. Estimated to maintain current bond levy rate of 65 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value. Actual levy rates may differ due to interest rates and changes in property value. So, that's the resolution and the Exhibit A. So the chair will now entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2024-25-2. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, that was Mitch.
That was me.
And do I have a second?
Me.
Okay, Liz. Okay, so it has been moved by Mitch Parsons and seconded by Liz Martin to adopt resolution number 2024-25-2. Any further discussion, any comments anybody would like to make?
Exciting time. Let's do it.
Well, I would say so. My view is that this is something that's going to extend the great public education that we provide people and families and students in Lincoln County for another 50 years. And that's a legacy contribution to our community. I'm really proud to be a part of this. So, hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, 4-0. The Board of Directors for Lincoln County School District will go out for a general obligation bond in May of 2025. Okay. On to items of information and discussion. We have the reading curriculum adoption. Do we have? Sandy Mummy.
Yeah, a bunch of people.
Okay, and others. Excellent. All right.
Wow, that's cool. Hey, isn't that cool? Yeah.
You need the black hat. That's Cynthia's.
You want the blue one?
Black
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
They're associated with your area colors. Oh, did I give one wrong?
Yes, Cynthia's sick. So
Okay, got
she's
it.
the
That's
green
what it was. My apologies.
I'll take your
Did I get them all right?
Okay.
Thanks. You think I want it?
Don't worry, Eddie, we
Here,
have more.
I'll trade you. My lease, I'll trade you.
Okay.
You can have one for every school if you want to. Dr. Tolan and members of the board, my name is Katie Basham. I'm the literacy specialist for the Lincoln County School District, and it's my pleasure to have the opportunity to talk to you tonight about the process that we went through for our intended curriculum adoption for ELA instruction to include both reading and writing in kindergarten through 6th grade. We have two phenomenal members of our curriculum implementation team who sat with us through the whole entire curriculum review process, and who actually are both members of our curriculum implementation team as well, which is a process that we have just started upon in the last couple of weeks. So, and that's Kate Sizemore, who teaches 5th grade at Toledo, and Rochelle Brown, who teaches 2nd grade at Toledo. So given that our board meeting is here this evening, they were very welcome to join us this evening. Sandy, do you want to start?
Sure. I just want to say thank you for having us tonight. And the whole process has been really amazing. And I have to give big thanks to Katie Basham, our new literacy TOSA for the district, and then all of the teachers that were participated in the adoption process and have now, should we choose to adopt, will be part of the implementation team also. And so thank you to Kate and thank you to Rochelle for being here, and then all of the teachers and students, because I think, did you say that they also piloted the curriculum
Correct,
for
yeah,
a little bit too?
So both of the ladies who are
lots
here
of
piloted in their
information to
classrooms.
share with you tonight.
Josh and Eddie are deep in conversation over here.
Maybe the next slide.
I know, but I can't see the slides, Eddie. I'm sorry. I mean, I can
Wrong
physically see.
computer.
Do you want to do one at a time or multiple at a time?
It needs to be that one.
But I can also just talk about it because we've been living this
we got
process
it.
for some period of time.
There we go.
Can you
You got
pop it out? See the kind of the X at the upper right? There you go.
Yay.
Yeah.
But you've got to go up 2 slides. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we don't need this title page. Okay. So Sandy, Mummy, and I have had the privilege to really think strategically and long-term about our curriculum adoption and put certain pieces in place to involve all stakeholders throughout the period of time that we've been working so far. So in August of the current school year, we really spent a great deal of time on the science of reading and power standards work and
called for all volunteers to represent teachers at all campuses across all grade levels. And it's just said, hey, who's interested in going through this process and learning through this endeavor with us? In September, just a few weeks later, we had our very first meeting. There were 38 teachers, administrators, and specialists involved in that work, and they represented all grades and sites. Then in September, October, and November, those curriculum committee individuals met a number of times. We really went through a very rigorous process advised by ODE to score possible curriculums against ODE's created Educators Instruction Materials Evaluation tool. So we used ODE's actual approval document to evaluate each of the curricular components that we were considering throughout or across 4 possible curriculums. What was interesting in that process is that that wasn't enough for our teachers. So even though the curricula that we were going to review was going to go through a very scrutinous evaluation process based on rubric evaluation data, our teachers really wanted to also talk about usability in the classroom. And so we did a great deal of research, listened to a number of podcasts, and read everything that we possibly could as it relates to how do we create and then sustain momentum when it comes to curriculum adoptions. And so that's part of the work that the whole team is really proud of, because it's not just about what does the curriculum look like on paper and how does it score against rubric criteria, but how can we be successful in the implementation so that teachers feel empowered and students feel successful. In November, we were able to take the 4 curriculums that we had looked at and narrow it down to 2. The 2 that we looked at more critically then in our round 2 was Houghton Mifflin Harcourt's Into Reading series and Savas My View Literacy series. At that point in time, both curriculum companies, for obvious reasons, because it's good money for them, were very willing to send us materials and get together and talk about how we might pilot. The curriculum companies offered additional training to the teachers who therefore wanted to participate in the pilot. The pilot classrooms were determined based on those who had participated in all the curricular review up until that point in time. So of the original 38 people, 15 teachers, and so 15 classrooms across our district, north, south, east, west, those students participated in classroom pilots. When they participated in those classroom pilots, it was both paper copies, the actual student editions and teachers editions, but also all of the online and virtual materials that were available to teachers and to students. They participated over the course of 2 weeks and reevaluated kind of what they saw. After they had gone through that curriculum piloting process, we subsequently evaluated on a rubric of our own design, again, pulled from a variety of sources that included ease of navigation, ease of daily lesson planning, how accessible are the tasks to both students and teachers, are the skills repeated so that we are working towards mastery, not one and done, text complexity, assessments, teacher view versus student view. Thank you, Eddie, I appreciate it. Students was really phenomenal too. Not only did we survey the 15 teachers who were involved in the piloting process, but the students in their classrooms as well. We had a teacher at Crestview who had her students write an essay on which curriculum was better and would they like to see adopted and why, and I got all of the personal copies of that. But the students evaluated the criteria. Their rubric was, I found the reading in this program interesting. I could connect what I was learning to something in my own life. The materials were easy to use, and I would recommend this program be used next year. So those are the questions that they answered. In January, just days ago practically, we came back together. We looked at all the rubrics based on what we had gleaned both from the original data, from the pilot teacher data, and from the classroom data. And both the pilot and non-pilot teachers worked in teams to review all of those evaluation scores. So even of the 38 original teachers, those who had not been involved in the pilot got brought back into the fold. And it was so amazing because they reached consensus based on the data. All the teachers who were in that classroom, all the building specialists, all of the administrators who were in that classroom walked out at the end of the day very happy to recommend Savas, My View Literacy, for kindergarten through 5th grade, and their 6th grade companion, which is called My Perspectives. Slightly different, but from the same publishing company for our kindergarten through 6th grade curriculum. I'm wondering if any of the teachers who wanted to pilot, if you wanted to say a couple words about the curriculum or about the process at this point.
As far as the curriculum goes, what I found interesting is with our curriculum, you know, we're able to discuss and we read, but we didn't have anything hands-on where they could mark up and look for that evidence. And with actually both the programs, that came with a book for them to have as their own, and it was really neat to see them discuss. And I asked them, I said, well, how do you like this? They're like, there's so much writing. I said, but no, that's good. That's what I want to hear from you, because that piece is being brought in, and it's something I think that helps them not only verbally be able to express what they're thinking, but then also be able to put it down on paper as well. So that's one thing that they really enjoyed with it.
Yeah, and as for the online component, I'm also on the tech cadre, so that is something I'm really interested in, and Savis's was just so amazing for the students, having multiple opportunities to use phonics skills, spelling skills, comprehension skills independently, and at their own level, the ease of being able to assign it, the interest they had in it, they were really excited to do it, which is great, and it didn't feel like putting them on a Chromebook to have them like just be on a Chromebook. It really felt like they were learning. They were on the Chromebook really, they're spelling, their high frequency words. It was just, that component is something I'm really excited about, and it was really awesome to see. And I'm still using it even though we stopped piloting.
Yeah, we'll pretend we didn't do that.
Sandy, am I correct in thinking that secondary is looking at making the recommendation to extend the adoption of My Perspective since it's on the state list?
Yeah, that's correct. So to kind of catch up with the ODE adoption schedule, I think secondary is considering recommending extending the contract that they have with Savis, My Perspectives, for grades 7 through 12. So actually, for a couple of years anyway, we will be a K-12 with the same company, which is really nice for that alignment piece. Yeah. So then, in terms of anticipated costs, we are looking at a 9-year relationship with this company. So a 9-year adoption, which actually is really very nice, because then we can make sure that we're implementing and going deep, creating resources and supports for teachers that then they can get really good at using, as opposed to switching more frequently. The anticipated costs that we have, the Savis company gave us an 8-year quote. They weren't able to give us the 9-year quote, but they said for 8 years it will be this cost. And then after the 8th year, we will need a 1-year kind of gap and kind of renew this membership to be involved with Savis. And then on that same year, we'll go through the adoption process again. And then the year after, we'll determine what brand new, potentially new reading curriculum we'll use. So this one will be in for a while. And so the costs that we have for this program include all of the professional development. So that's in-person professional development and virtual professional development. It also includes the Savis company has the enhanced core reading instruction overlay, so that explicit phonics. Sometimes you hear it called ECRI. That is included in the adoption, that we would have that overlay and continue to use those explicit phonics routines. So we do have some funds in early literacy. We're looking at about over $600,000 in our early literacy fund that we can use toward this adoption, which is very helpful for us to have those funds available. And then we are looking at requesting the special revenue curriculum fund for the remaining about $463,000 or so, and that would be for the total of the 8 years.
Essentially $1 million for 8 years.
The materials, if the board chooses to recommend, right, the materials will be available to view at each elementary school over the course of the next couple of weeks. So we'll be able to, before we go to a possible recommendation for adoption next month, those materials are available at all of our campuses. And the reading implementation team has already, endeavored to persevere and really are taking a greater look at what comes next, right? So how do we keep the momentum moving? What you see in that image in front of you,
just spurring momentum and spurring interest. Excuse me. We are doing a lot of learning. We're learning about implementation science. We're learning about complex change. We're building leadership on campuses, developing a vision. That was the work that we've been working on the last couple of days, and coming to consensus on how do you develop a vision. And then we'll start working on pacing and scope and sequence. There's a lot of things that would happen next. And we're so emotionally excited for the possibility of really enhancing instruction in all of our kindergarten through 6th grade classrooms. Is there anything else that either of you would like to say?
I have a couple questions. So you want to implement it by April? Is that what?
Absolutely not. No, pardon if I misspoke. So we're obviously coming to you this evening, right, with a recommendation, and then you guys will make a decision at the March board meeting. And then after that point in time, then the real heavy work begins as it relates to how do you develop a scope and sequence with this new curriculum, and what does that look like, and what is the relationship with the publication company, and really start.
I was like, wow.
No. No. As much as I am a go-getter, I can't get it all done in the next 2 months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're excited about the process, taking this kind of getting on board a little bit earlier, because the company, should we choose to adopt, is available and willing to come to the April 28th Professional Development Day for teachers to give them this kind of first glance of the curriculum materials. And so if we are able to adopt this curriculum, we would want to purchase some of the components. We'd want to purchase this spring so that then teachers can have access to the materials to be able to start digging in. And then we're looking at a delivery in June. So we want to get the materials barcoded and into classrooms. We have Michelle Cottrell has been hugely helpful in terms of a discard and a donation of current materials so that we can make room for the new materials.
I have one other question. Is there anything in this materials that would lend itself to a volunteer program in the school for reading?
I think, I can't speak to the materials specifically.
Would it be user-friendly that a volunteer could come in and help?
And I'll let the two of you address
Absolutely.
that question.
I think if there's substitute teachers coming in, the teacher's guide is so user-friendly, and I think that's something we talked about a lot when she was talking about usability, is just the ease of lesson planning and being able to use the curriculum to fidelity without having to do an extreme amount of work. It's great. There's think alouds, there's sentence stems, questions. It's very user-friendly. Yeah.
As readers, if there was a guest that wanted to come in and listen to children read, they would be able to use readers and be online with the materials. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And all of the weeks in looking more strategically at the pacing guides, just as of late, all of the weeks, the anthologies come with authentic text, and you get the titles of the authentic text, and the kids have that authentic text in front of them, so that it's not just on the screen, and so that just that real student interaction with literature is present and readily available in every classroom.
I mean, right now we know where we need to put a lot of our work and energy and money in right here, and so I'm so excited to hear you guys talk about it, because you're excited.
We're so excited. Yeah, we're so excited.
I want to see us get reading programs going again in the elementary with the volunteer program. I think that's just a win for everybody, and so I'm really excited. Thank you for your work.
And we're trying so hard to build momentum and create excitement and a feeling of capability, right? And so in that building of collective efficacy in and amongst our teacher teams as well. And they're just ready for the challenge and ready to do the hard work that is necessary, because like so many have said this evening, we are treating every child as if they're the most important child in the world, because somebody needs to. And so making sure that when they leave our classrooms, they are, I'm getting a little emotional. We're just so excited, because every kid deserves to have the opportunity to be future ready, successful leaders in whatever field or endeavor they choose.
Questions? I have a quick question about professional development. The district is committed to supporting teachers.
Yeah, so when there's a line item on here, when we adopt new materials, we adopt the professional learning they need in 2 levels. So there's the professional learning around the materials, And there's some professional learning around the skills that are taught in that, and it's part of that adoption package. So I think one of the greatest things when Sandy told me that they're proposing an 8 to 9 year with the extra year on here is it's a lot for an elementary teacher, because that elementary school teacher has all of the adopted materials, where at the high school level, they have different grade levels in there. But once they understand the layout of that material, they're switching the content that gets delivered, but the layout of the material is the same. At the elementary level, they're learning the new layout of the new math material, the new layout of the new reading. I'm super excited this has writing in it. That's been a big deficit in our instruction materials that we're providing to staff. So our teachers are teaching writing with little to no help from the district on saying, here, let us come alongside of you and help you with writing instruction. So I think this was a great addition to the program, but it does come with both of those things. So
I like the addition of the focus on writing, writing to read is really cool. Listen, I appreciate the thoroughness of your examination of the materials, your whole process. Glad to see super enthusiastic teachers approaching this curriculum, and that just translates to the classroom and to students, and that's where it's all at. Really appreciate your work, and looking forward to maybe even seeing it piloted in the late spring.
sounds like
is that
there's some doing
possible?
that.
Actually, it's on, we have a very, should we choose to move forward with this curriculum, we have a plan that is hopefully pretty detailed to allow for members of our implementation team. We would love to get the curriculum in their hands in May, just for a small group, because the idea is we want to create in-building experts who have about this much more information than the rest of their staff, because then if a teacher is struggling to find something right away, they could go to a colleague and say, Rochelle, show me where you found that, and she'll have had one or a month and a half more time with the curriculum. We don't want it to interfere with students' learning, but we feel like this is going to really be a great kind of segue to get us going for next year with the implementation team.
Yeah, I love that model.
As Dr. Tolan was saying, we're going to come up alongside you. And so we're, thinking really intentionally and strategically about how do we train the people who will be stepping up on each of our campuses to serve as that mentor role in literacy instruction.
So it's awesome, like Liz was saying. It's
Much needed.
yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Enjoy your hat.
presentation.
If you want other colors, just let us know.
Okay. And we're on to, yeah, really exciting. Human resources, contract extensions, non-renewals. Do we talk about that?
No.
No.
If there's any questions, you can just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And on to final availability of public comment. Any one wishing? No, we don't have anything. Okay. And then, so meeting takeaways.
School calendar.
School calendar. Sorry.
10C2.
10C2. Got it. Okay. Do we need a presentation, Tiana? Okay, great.
Good evening. Every year, one of the things the board does also is to approve the calendar for the next school year, and so you have a draft of that in front of you, and so there's no presentation, there's just opportunity if you have any questions. The only thing on there that is like last year's, or I guess this year's, is the no contract day. So this year it was November 1st, and we had 32 people engage in professional development in that non-contract day. So the idea, working with the union in our last bargain, is to have a day that doesn't take teachers away from students and we don't tax our subsystem. So we ran NCI training and vocab comp training both on those days. And so that was a win for us. And so we have that on November 10th in this draft calendar, next to November 11th, which is Veterans Day. So that non-contract day is the only thing that's similar to this year and maybe different from in the past.
And so you offered PD to anybody who was interested, and 32 people took it. Great. Any questions?
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think Toledo always claps.
The only one.
Yeah, you're the only one. Yeah. Just put you on the road.
All right. Mr. Symington, I'm allowed to go on to meeting takeaways now?
I guess so.
Okay. All right. Liz?
I'm just real excited about this bond that we're going out for. It's really a big thing for our school district, and excited for what we can do for our schools and our students for the future. That's what it's about. We need to take care of our buildings and our kids and give them the best.
They deserve it. Yeah. Jason?
Two things. One, in public comment, we heard about cost related to building and things like that. And I'm not a contractor, but I have 100% faith in Rich and his crew that have experience with this in putting together the right information, the right numbers, and making things happen. And we know that things are subject to change, and Rich knows that there's things are subject to change. What costs today may not cost tomorrow. But I just wanted to say, full faith in Rich and his crew. The other, and Peter alluded to it, Toledo's clapping, on everything, which is awesome. But September, is that when I started? Does that sound familiar?
August. You were in August retreat.
Oh, August. Oh,
yeah.
Months ago. One of the things that I know every time is all of the staff reports that we get, the kid reports that we get, the presentations that come to the board, the employee association, the contractors, the enthusiasm is you can't measure, and that's awesome. So the love that everybody has for the kids in the district and the support is great. I think that's a testament to the entire system, to our superintendent, for creating the space to do it. And so I want to acknowledge that, and the fact that I appreciate that as a board member and a citizen, and knowing that, this is what we have shaping and molding young minds in our county, and we're pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to.
Mitch, any takeaways?
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that there's going to be more writing in some of the curriculum. I, along with other parents, joke with my kids that they never seem to have anything physical besides their Chromebook, so it's nice to kind of see, I guess, what's old school now be brought back in and be used a little more.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I was a writing teacher. I taught journalism here. I love writing. I love writing for publication. I think it's really a great way to improve student writing. So I'm all for it. I'm kind of like you, Liz. I'm very excited about the bond, the potential for how many thousands of students are going to be affected by the decision that the voters make in May. That is so awesome. And when you think about how the bond works, and we're retiring the debt from the general obligation bonds from the 2011 construction, which just to highlight it, among other things, it was Walport High School that was removed from the tsunami plain and now is safe for all those kids to be up there. It's a great facility. And that's going to serve that community for another 50, 60, 70 years. And that's what we're talking about for the additions that we're talking about and the refurbishing of the buildings. This building, Rachel was telling me, 1959?
1959 is the cornerstone that is put down in the busing area.
Yeah. So that's 65 years, 66 years.
Originally built as an elementary school.
That's right.
To a
Yeah.
high school. They talk about how the drinking fountains weren't moved up quite yet.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to extend this facility for as long as it's been here, which is great. And the cost is just the same tax rate that you've been paying. So likely no increase. And bang for the buck. So, yeah. Okay. Reminders, announcements. Got a couple of things here. Thank you, Eddie. On the 12th, Sam Case Anxious Generation book study is at 4:30. On the 15th, Toledo Junior Senior High dinner and a show at 6 p.m.
Are you sold out yet?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
If you want to get a ticket, come see me.
I thought that was going to sell out, so I got my ticket right away. Billy Joe and I will be there. Looking forward to both parts of that, the meal, and I don't remember exactly everything that was on the menu, but it looks delicious. We have a board work session on the 25th at 5, and that's the joint meeting with OCCC. And then on the 27th, there's a Toledo Junior Senior High band concert at 7 p.m. We'll see you all there. And if there's nothing else, for the good of the order, thank you. We are adjourned.
You can clap the end.